Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to 2015. Today we're going to be dismantling a Ford F-Series Super Duty manual lock hub. Looked for a bunch of videos on YouTube and checked in the service manuals, and they don't really cover how to completely dismantle this hub. There's a fair number of videos that show the basics. We'll go over the basics and then we'll show you how to get this cap off. A lot of times what happens is this will get stuck because these have dings and dents in them. It'll have dirt, debris. The owner's manual specs it a couple times a year. There's a mileage reference in there that you lubricate this, run some oil around here, cycle the hub, make sure that it all works. And that applies to auto locking and manual locking hubs. Most people with the auto hubs just leave them until they're completely seized. So removal from the truck is easy. It's one big snap ring and it should just wiggle right off. If it's jammed, you might have to give it a little tap and a little bit of lube and work on it a bit. But first thing we want to do is we take off this outer center snap ring. That snap ring slides right off. We'll take out this inner snap ring, and this ring holds this plastic gear in place. The plastic gear is in there with a light press fit. Thrust washer comes off. This assembly, what I'm going to do is just tap on this on a block of wood just to loosen this, because like I said, here to here is just a light press fit. So hold on. Okay, a couple of taps. This ring comes out. There's a real light spring here. This spring is the return, one of the return springs on the mechanism. You pull out the engagement gear. This has a roller bearing on it. This roller bearing, it's can't tell you the bearing number off the top, it's all dirty, but it's just a roller bearing. This is a light press fit with a little tap and a little gentle screwdriver work. This bearing will slide off. It's got a handful of rollers in there. I use a lightweight lubricant mostly because these things operate in very cold weather. If you use a very heavy sticky grease, if you really load, say, red and tacky number 7 in there, you're going to have a hard time operating this hub, and it may hang up and it may drag. To disengage, the gear ends up riding in between here, so it's a very tight tolerance. You could end up with some trouble if you use a very sticky lube. A lot of the times I'll use a product, Super Lube, or just assembly, lightweight assembly lube or lightweight assembly oil on these things. They don't need a real heavy grease. They're not sliding under pressure. They're sliding under light spring pressure when everything lines up. That's our second gear, and a big giant fat spring wedged down in here, stuck to that second piece. Down here, there's the cap. This cap actually has a couple of dogs on it that locate this unit here. So this unit here, this one is actually moving freely. It's still a little drag, but I've got some burrs to take off of it. So here we've got free marked with the arrow and the index pointer, and over here we have lock. To get this hub to disassemble, we need to get the index pointer to line up between the O and the C. Pretty much on the C, but somewhere right between the O and the C will allow us to dismantle this hub. We've had pretty good success. Just hold it, move it away from the lock position a little bit, tap it a few times on the bench straight down, and then sometimes if it's really sticky, use a pair of pliers to turn it. And as soon as it crosses this point, as soon as it indexes on this point, you'll be able to pull it free. It's got a few keys in there, so let's see how lucky I can get on this puppy here. Just give it a tap down. I'm going to grab with a pair of pliers because it is a little sticky. There it goes. Alright, so that's lined up right there, and now what it will do is this hub assembly will pull out. Down in there, there's the back side. This doesn't have any moving parts on it, but it's a good idea to pull it apart, clean it. This has a small gasket on there. The V on this gasket is pointed towards the axle assembly itself. So it's meant to keep things from coming out of the hub. but therefore it would possibly let water in under pressure. This gasket, when I first disassembled this hub, it had been soaked. The hub was getting soaked with miscellaneous penetrants, trying to free it up. The gasket was big enough that it would slide completely over the outer diameter of this hub. It was all floppy and loose. One good recovery method is to simply just a pan on the stove with some hot soapy water, put this in it, let it boil for 5 or 10 minutes, and it has shrunk down to a size where it will fit back in the radius that it's supposed to go back into. It was probably 1/8 to 1/4 inch bigger and would just completely slide over the outside diameter of this hub here. Clean off all your splines, get all the grease, get all the dirt, get all the grit out of there. Again, use a lightweight lubricant. You want this thing to be able to move when it's extremely cold temperatures out. There is a hub kit. Dorman makes a hub kit for this, which just has a couple of seals and a snap ring. Again, they don't supply this ring here. I don't see a part number on it. It's likely it's a Warn part. I believe these hubs are actually made by Warn, licensed to Ford, with an appropriate markup. So, but if you can save this gasket, just a little bit of light assembly lube on there, and go through this inner diameter here, and you'll see burnish spots if the hub has been used. You'll see burnish spots where the plastic is rubbing on the material. Originally these had a powder coat on it that generally failed after some number of years, so it's just get in there with a stone or a file or a small rotary burr and just kind of clean up that inner race until that cap drops in there and moves smoothly. So this one still has, this one's got a fair bit of drag on it. You want that to fit fairly loose, so that it can turn it when it's cold. So I'll be going through it and cleaning up any of these contact areas with a stone. Got a contact area there, and it looks like something hit the hub and it's kind of got a ding in it. So we'll clean it up, we'll re-grease it, light grease again, and assemble it, and we'll be back on our way. This saves you from, the only other option is to replace this part, which is available aftermarket for about $150 or so. So anyway, good luck with that. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe. Thank you.